So very briefly, before we move on to bodhicitta, I wanted to introduce a couple meditations for the practice of refuge. So first, to work with the outer symbols of refuge, I encourage you to explore this and to explore your specific objects of refuge. Again, whether that is Jesus or Mary or Shiva or Krishna or Allah or the Buddha Shakyamuni or Chenrezig, which is the Buddha of compassion. It's said that the Dalai Lama is a manifestation of Chenrezig. It may also be a saint, it might be some figure in history that you really feel deep reverence for. It could be just sort of a general sense of God. It could be the Buddha Shakyamuni. It could be any divine figure that you come across. And so this is a relationship that you are cultivating in a way with, you're using symbols to connect to the deepest aspect of your own being. And so this is going, we're human beings, so we operate relationally. And so it can be, this is why we develop these relationships with the divine. And it's so beautiful in the Hindu tradition, they really have taken this to the deepest level because they've developed all of these different types of relationships with the divine, whether it's as parent-child. So Krishna is sometimes depicted as, a little baby. And so that devotion for the little baby, the caring for the little baby, that's the way some people relate to the divine. On the other hand, there is the divine as father, the divine as mother. There's also the divine as friend, or as relative. And then there's also the divine as romantic partner, So it becomes this almost, erotic love for the divine. And even in the Christian contemplative tradition, this is discussed, this sort of almost erotic love for Christ and for God. And this exists in the Buddhist tradition as well, with divine partners and so on. And so we find a relationship that works for us, and then we cultivate that because, again, it's like any other relationship in our life. If we don't come back to it, and especially if we don't turn to it, this representation of our divine, if we don't turn to it in times of difficulty, then we won't be showing up for those opportunities to actually have the blessings come from this being. And of course, in the deepest way, these blessings are just welling up from your own being, but we use this symbol to engage this, and it's all very interrelated, but sometimes we need these relational practices. So cultivate this relationship. Read stories about your image of the divine. Read the life stories. Read, the myths or whatever to get a sense of this being, who was Shakyamuni Buddha? Who was Chenrezig? Who was Christ? And then you can develop this relationship with them, and you can begin to really develop a heart connection. And then that will be there for you, and you can continue to turn to it all the time. And so you can bring that being into your heart in the meditation and pray to that being, and even just rest in silence with that being. You can gaze at an image of this being, make requests, so on. Just feel into it. But take this as a meditation. And then the second way is to just release all images, release all thinking, and just and release into the primordial being, the non-symbolic true nature of reality. And as I believe it's a psalm from the Bible, goes, "Be still and know that I am God." And similarly in the Buddhist tradition, this present moment awareness is the Buddha. So you can engage in this formless meditation on simple present moment awareness as the divine, and just kind of drop into that being, that aspect of your being, that aspect of reality, and take deep refuge. Feel it in the heart, but without signs or symbols, without images. Okay? So these are two ways to deepen our sense of refuge, to deepen our sense of reverence, devotion, and to develop a relationship with something that then we will be able to turn to at all times, in difficult times, especially as our refuge, as something we can go to for protection, for understanding, and for a deep existential comfort. Okay, try that out.